I trained with E Company of the 511th Parachute Infantry, and I was transferred overseas to the 517th. The first day in combat, had a sergeant shot through the middle of his head. The nicest guy. I had just come to the outfit as a replacement, and as we were going up to combat, he had a package from home. Most replacements, they kind of avoid being friendly with them. They know they're going to get killed or injured, and they just don't want to become acquainted real close. But they were really nice to me. I was amazed that he wanted me to have some of the goodies from home. And this was a horrible shock with him getting killed like that.
On December 23, 1944, 1 week into the Battle of the Bulge, Private First Class Melvin Biddle was fighting his way through Belgium by way of the little town of Soy. Biddle and his regiment were attempting to reach another outfit that had been surrounded by German infantry. But the approach would take his tiny patrol head-on into the advancing German ground force.
When we got to the Battle of the Bulge up by Soy, they said Biddle out front, and I didn't know I would be a lead scout. But that's what they had me do, is be the lead scout. There's underbrush and cold, snowy. I came up at this small German outpost, the three guys, and I walked up. It wasn't from me to you from them. I shot the first one, and then the second one tried to shoot me, and I had to shoot him. The third one ran from me, and I shot him in the shoulder, and he kept going. And I shot him again in the shoulder, and he still kept going. And then all hell broke loose, their machine guns and their mortars, and started firing at us. They continued, I suppose, for an hour, and then all of a sudden they stopped. The captain said that he'd like me to take two guys with me and take a prisoner. And I said, sir, I saw some vehicles out there with white stars on them. And he said, well, you go see if they're Americans. They got out there, three soldiers were walking down the road, and one of them said, yeah. I knew they were American. And it looked like Berlin. They were running up down the road with half-tracks and tanks and just everything. And they really had the equipment. So he said, well, you go on further down the road and try to capture one of them. We were laying alongside the road, and here come a German officer, all decked out like he was parading. My friend said "alt" twice. So quiet I could hardly hear him, and I know the German didn't. And he fired at him and missed him. And I was just flabbergasted. The German officer pulled his pistol out and fired at us and missed us. He fired twice, and then he said, hey, Johnny. And we took off. Well, I went the wrong way. I didn't go back to our line. I went back in the German lines. And I got in there, and I decided I'd lay there and try not to be captured. The Germans walked right past me, and just a few inches from my hand. They had these hobnail boots. You could hear them, and you could hear them talking. And they finally moved back a ways, and our machine guns started firing, and then theirs were firing. You could tell where my outfit was. So finally, about 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, I started back to our line. Next morning, the company commander said, Biddle out front again. I thought after all that, the day before they wouldn't put me out front again, but they did. And he said, you were so lucky yesterday, we're going to use you again today. So I was moving along out there, and here come a bunch of Germans in front of me, just marching along. And I started firing at them, and I must have run 2 clips of ammunition through the rifle and got every one of them. They said they were all hit in the head. That's about all I could see with their head, the underbrush. The other guys went over and looked at them, and I was always appreciative that I didn't go, because it would have been a horrible memory to the rest of my life. I got hit January 3rd in a place called St. Jacques. And after I was treated in England, this guy from my outfit said, did you hear about that fellow that killed all those Germans up there? And I said, no. He said, they put him in for the Medal of Honor. And I said, oh, they did. Harry Truman was a cocky little guy, and I really liked him. He was in World War I, and he knew what was what. And he said, I'd rather have this medal than be president. He says, people don't believe me. And I wanted to say, I'll trade places, and I was still in service and didn't want court-martial, so I kept my mouth shut. I've always had a feeling that I couldn't let my friends down. And right away, these guys in B Company of the 517th were my friends. And you just can't let those kind of people down.